Hi everyone! Today we're going to learn the lattice multiplication. Our essential question is, how do I multiply using the lattice method of multiplication? I have a couple of problems here that I'm going to show you so you can learn how to do this method. When we are multiplying in a lattice multiplication method, we are going to use a chart that looks like this. It's got different columns and different rows, and each of the little boxes is divided in half to make two triangles. So let's look at our first problem. 45 times 3. I'm going to take this 45 and I'm going to write it above the top of each column. So the 4 will go above one column and the 5 will go above the next. They each get their own column. Then I'm taking the number I'm going to multiply by, the 3. I'm going to write it along the side. It gets its own row. Now I'm ready to multiply. I'm going to start by looking at each box by itself. So looking at this box, I have a 5 and a 3. 5 times 3 is 15. I know that a 15 is made up of 1 10 and 5 ones. So I'm going to look at each of these triangles, and I'm going to write the 10s in this top triangle. I'm going to write the 1s in this next one. So 5 times 3 is 15. That's 1 10 and 5 ones. Now I'm going to look at my 4 and my 3. They come together in this box. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 also has 1 10, only it has 2 1s. Now I'm ready to add. When I add, I need to look at the diagonals that were created by these slanted lines. I'm going to start right here. I just have a 5 in this diagonal, so I'm going to write 5 down below. If I look this direction, I have my 1 plus my 2. 1 plus 2 equals 3. When I look at this column right here, or this diagonal, I only have 1. So I put my 1 right here. The final answer for this one is 135. So that is my final answer. If you are having a hard time deciding how you add these diagonals, simply take a piece of paper and lay it along the side, and then look at what's inside those triangles. So a 5 just brings it down. If I go up to the next line, I can see I have my 1 plus 2 equals 3. On this one, it's just my 1, so I have a 1. If for some reason I had a number that had more than just a single digit, it had a 10, I would simply write the 1s down here and carry my 10 to the next diagonal. Let's take a look at another example. 36 times 4. Now on this one, I did not provide you with a chart because I want you to be able to create it yourself as well. So I'm noticing that 36 has 2 digits. So I know I'm going to have 2 columns. 4 only has 1, so I'm just going to have 1 row. So I'm going to make a rectangle that's large enough to have 2 columns. That will take care of my 36, and then I only have 1 digit this way, so I only need 1 row this way. To make my diagonal lines, I'm just going to connect the corners of my boxes, and then I'm going to continue. So I'm going to go from one corner to the next, and then just go straight a little bit farther. One corner to the next, go straight a little bit farther. Now I have my lattice. So let's try this problem. 36, I put my 3 right here, and then my 6, times 4. My 4 goes along the row. Now I'm ready to multiply. 6 times 4 is 24. So I have 2 10s this time, so my 2 goes up here. I still have only 4 1s, so my 4 will go right there. 3 times 4 is 12. So I have 1 10 and 2 1s. Now I'm ready to add. Remember, if you're having a hard time remembering what you need to add, take a piece of paper and slide it to the diagonal. So on this one, I just have my 4, so he's just 4. If I slide it up like this, I have 2 plus 2, which equals 4. And then I have just my 1, so I put my 1. To find my final answer, I just go along the outside edge right here. So 1, 4, 4. So my final answer for this problem is 144. For all of these examples I've showed you, Each of the numbers I multiplied together ended up with some 10s and some 1s. Sometimes that's not going to happen. So let's look at a sample where it does not happen. Let's try the problem 21 times 8. Once again, I need 2 columns and 1 row. So I'm going to write that on here. There's my 2 columns. I have 1 row. I'm going to draw my diagonal lines. Then I'm going to write my numbers on there. 21 times 8. Let's look at the math. 1 times 8 is 8. This time I do not have a 10, so I have to put a 0 there because there is no 10. I do have 8 ones. 2 times 8 is 16. Now I do have a 10 and 6 ones. When I add down my diagonals, 8 is just 8. 0 plus 6 is 6. And 1 is just 1. So my final answer is 168. So that's how you would work it if you had no 10s. Just put a 0 in there. For tonight's homework, you're going to have 2 practice problems. Your first problem is 52 times 7. Your second problem is 29 times 5. Make sure when you're doing these problems, you draw your lattice, write your numbers along the top and on the side, do your multiplication, and then add along the diagonal to get your final answer. If you're having a hard time with remembering what to add, simply take a piece of paper and go right along the diagonal so you can see the numbers that you need to have. That'll make it a little simpler for you if you're having a hard time tracking that with your eyes. Don't forget to write 2 questions and to write your summary. Have a great night.